The cub met them suddenly. He had left the cave in the morning and was running down to the nearby stream to drink. He wasn't paying a lot of attention because he knew the way to the stream very well and felt safe. There, but suddenly he smelled and saw 5 big live things. He didn't know they were Indians from the nearby camp. He had never seen such strange live things before. They noticed him, but they didn't move or show their teeth. They just sat and looked at him. And, though he didn't know why, their sight filled him with fear. Slowly, one of the Indians stood up and walked over to the cub. He started to move his hand towards the cub's head. The cub's hair stood up and he snarled as terribly as he could, but he didn't move. The man laughed and said, "Wabam wabiska I pitaluk." White fangs. The other Indians laughed loudly. The cub didn't like the sound of their laughter at all. The next moment, he saw that the Indian's hand was moving closer to his head again. Two instincts were fighting in the cub at that moment. On the one hand, he wanted to bite this hand, but on the other, he felt he should let it rest on his head. He chose a compromise. He let the hand come as close to his head as he could bear it, and then he jumped on the hand and sank his white fangs in it. The next thing the cub knew was a sudden and strong blow on his head, and another one, and another. And then he didn't want to fight anymore. He left the hand and cried in great pain. The 5 Indians had come closer and were now standing around him and laughing even louder than before. Suddenly, they all heard something, but only the cub knew what it was. His mother was coming to save him. She had heard the cries of her cub, and she was coming with her hair standing up and showing her teeth. She stopped in front of her son and snarled terribly at the 5 men, ready to fight them all. And then something completely unexpected happened. "Quiche!" cried one of the Indians in surprise. The she-wolf was surprised too. "Quiche!" he cried again, this time with authority in his voice. And then the unbelievable happened. The cub saw his great mother, the killer of live things, lie down on the ground, moving her tail in peace signs. He couldn't understand it at all. The man who had spoken to the she-wolf came over to her and put his hand on her head. To the cub's great surprise, she neither snarled at him nor showed him her teeth. "It is not strange," the Indian said. "Her mother was a dog, but her father was a wolf. It has been a year, Grey Beaver, since she ran away." Spoke the second Indian. "It is not strange," Grey Beaver answered. "It was a time of great hunger when she ran away." "She has," answered Grey Beaver. "And that is the sign of it," he said, pointing at the cub. "His fangs are white, and so White Fang will be his name. I have spoken." They were going to the Indian camp, Quiche obediently following Grey Beaver, and White Fang doing the same. Once they got to the camp, Grey Beaver tied Quiche to a tree so that she couldn't escape back to the woods. But he didn't tie White Fang. He knew that the cub wouldn't go far without his mother. And so White Fang had complete freedom to look around the camp. There were lots of strange things, and the cub was a little afraid at first. But soon his curiosity became stronger than his fear, and it pushed him onto his first exploratory trip around the man-animal's grounds. He looked at the camp in wonder. It was buzzing with movement. There were lots of dogs and lots of man-animals everywhere. The man-animals impressed him greatly with their power. They had power over things not alive. He saw it. They could move them about. Even the small man-animals could pick up stones and throw them around. The big man-animals were moving sticks about so cleverly that they could make hiding places out of them. It was the first time White Fang had seen a teepee being built, and as he watched the process, he felt more and more admiration for the man-animals. They were like gods. And then a dog caught his attention. It was a puppy like White Fang, but a few months older than him, and so a bit bigger and stronger. His name was Lip Lip, and he was the puppy leader of the camp. Lip Lip saw that White Fang was a new puppy, and so he decided that a fight was necessary to show White Fang that he was the true leader of all puppies at the campsite. He snarled at White Fang and showed him his teeth. But White Fang wasn't easily frightened. He snarled back. Then suddenly, without any warning, Lip Lip jumped onto White Fang and sank his teeth in the cub's shoulder. It hurt really badly, and White Fang cried with pain. Quiche heard him and barked furiously, but she was too far away to help her son. After some struggle, White Fang finally managed to shake Lip Lip off his back and ran to his mother for protection. In his heart, he promised to revenge Lip Lip. Meanwhile, Quiche licked White Fang's wounds and calmed his anger as she softly stroked his face with her tongue. Soon the cub felt much better around his mother, and he promised himself never to leave her again. But not even 5 minutes passed, and he was by Grey Beaver's teepee, all on his own again. Something very interesting was happening there, and he just had to have a quick look to see what was happening. Women and children were bringing lots of wood and sticks around and leaving it outside of Grey Beaver's teepee. When there were so many of them that they created a big heap, Grey Beaver moved them around and started to make some strange rubbing movements. Suddenly, something the color of the sun started to move among the sticks. White Fang knew nothing about fire. It looked like a strange had ever hurt him so much before. Live thing to him. He moved towards it. He wanted to smell and taste this strange, live thing. His nose and his tongue touched the flame at the same time, and a moment later he cried in great pain and terror. Nothing. Grey Beaver and the other Indians who had been watching White Fang burst out laughing. White Fang recognized the sound of their laughter, and he understood the meaning of it. He felt shame that the man-animals should be laughing at him so. It hurt his spirit even more than the fire hurt his nose and tongue. He looked at the men around him, and he realized they were stronger and more powerful than any live things he had ever seen. They could hurt your spirit by mere mouth noises. They could make an orange biting live thing out of wood. They were fire makers. They were gods.